Hey, hey, hey. How are you? Make sure if you are posting comments, you gave StreamYard permission so that I can see them. But I wanted to say hello first and tell me who you are, where you are, so I can see you. Let's see. Sorry about that. Let's see who's here. So I'm not going to be before you long, but I really thought that it was important for me to just jump on and share this message. Hey, Chandra, just share this message. I am Sharonda Ford, licensed clinical mental health counselor and hope dispenser. And I've been having this conversation about grief, really just with myself, though. So I often talk about grief to my clients and talk about the effects that grief have on our wellness and our mental health. I am going to really talk more about this and expound, but I wanted to just come on and give you a teaser about what I will talk about later. And so this morning, I found myself up all night. I talk to clients every day about grief, about COVID, about sickness, about the effects that this pandemic has had, and grief. And so grief is not just isolated to loss or death or dying, or the death of someone, but grief, it shows up many different ways. And so one of the ways that grief has been showing up for me is through my Facebook memories or my time hop or things like that. And so yesterday I found myself going through Facebook memories. This is typically the month where my family, we get together and we have our annual family dinner, which is 100+ year tradition. And so this year we're not having it. And this is like the first year that we did not have it. And so that this tradition is something that was extremely important to my grandmother. And we have done it whether it snowed, no matter what it was, because this tradition started again over 100 years ago. So these past couple of weeks, I have been inundated with memories and posts from either Time Hop or Facebook or Google Photos, where any of those places where it's like today, this year ago, today, for Facebook, it's since 2008. So I'm seeing memories from 12 years ago. And the memory that kind of caught me last night was the first Christmas dinner, family Christmas dinner after my grandmother passed, which looks like it was December 9th, 2017. And so there in my phone or my Time Hop in Facebook, there are so many videos and pictures. And this particular video is the first time that I was in her house after she died. So I hadn't been there since August. And so I'm watching this video and I'm watching myself in the grieving process. And so the first video I saw was kind of cute, like, oh my goodness, I can't believe I did this. And in the background is the laughter and the talking and the noise of the family. And so I'm listening to this, but I'm really in two moments at one time. I'm in the moment of what is happening in this video. And I'm in the moment of what I'm feeling right now. And as life would have it, I just became so sad, or solemn. I don't even know that it was a sadness as much as all of the emotions from that moment came up, not necessarily what I was feeling in this moment. And so I realized, just what I started feeling. And we know that what happens in the body happens in the brain, and what happens in the brain happens in the body. And so I begin to feel so many different things. And I'm like, man, this is grief. Like, this is grief on steroids. And I'm sitting at the piano that my grandmother bought for me September 10th, 1983. I can remember it almost like yesterday. And I'm just playing God Has Smiled on Me like 50 times. And I'm realizing as I'm watching this, the grief that's happening. And so I'm watching this video of me, not really singing, but singing, listening to what's going on, looking around, and just doing what I would have done every year, all of my life since I began to learn how to play the piano. I sat in that space with her. And so I want to come back and talk at about 4:30 or 4 o'clock and just talk about grief and hear from you and hear how you're handling grief in this season and share some tips on how to handle grief in this season. Grief is disrespectful. It will show up on you like never before. I was talking with my sister a little while ago, and she may share how grief showed up for her today. But we both had these moments, right, where grief showed up unexpectedly. And I want to talk about how to get a hold of that and overcome it before it overwhelms you. So if you want to talk about grief or know some tips on how to get through these holidays, dealing with grief, knowing that for some of us, we won't see our family because of the pandemic. And there are some people who've lost family to the pandemic. I've lost family in the pandemic. I've had friends in the pandemic that have lost family and that have been sick and affected by COVID, and people I've went to school with that have died. And so I recognize that there is an empty seat at the table this year for so many people. And I want to talk to you about that empty seat. I want to talk to you about it's okay, right? It is okay to cry, that you don't have to be strong. So come and join me this afternoon at 4:30 or 4:15. I'll let you know. And let's learn together how to process and manage this grief before it overwhelms you. You can overcome it. That's it for me. I'm Sharonda Ford, licensed clinical mental health counselor, and I'm a hope dispenser. And I hope that you got something, and tell someone to come back and join me this afternoon as I talk about grief. God bless you.